100 years ago, Korea was a monarchy. So it stands the legend that Korea had a royal family. However, the royal family experienced tragedy following Japan's colonization. Prince Yu is a prime example of it. Prince Yu, who gained notoriety for resembling Suho, an EXO K-pop idol, perished as a result of the atomic bomb which was detonated in Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. In the modern era, Korea's royal family vanished into thin air. The descendants of the king are unknown to us. Additionally, the majority of Koreans still have a bad impression of the royal family. Why? What is the cause? What does the royal family represent Koreans as well? Thus we can discover more about Korea's previous royal family. Joseon, a nation that existed before Korea, has been there for 590 years, which is unusual in the world. It's because most countries typically had a maintenance issue after more than a century. However, the imperialist nation, which allowed Joseon's 500-year history to degenerate, was first to bring it to an end. Particularly Japan, which has a long history with Korea, dating back almost 2,000 years since they seized control of Joseon. As a result of Japan's inevitable rise to power, Joseon is forced to submit to it. Japan is thought of as a weak nation in contrast to other colonized nations that were ruled by strange people and races. Because of this, Korea believed that the colonial area was demeaning and dishonorable. Before Japan colonized Joseon, Joseon believed itself to be superior to Japan. The nation that had been ignored by world events eventually vanished into history. Gojong and Sunjong were the final Joseon kings. It is so because Japan restored Sunjong to power after deposing Gojong. So Gojong is regarded as the de facto final king of Joseon in Korea. Gojong has 4 kings. There is Sunjong, who succeeded Gojong, as well as Prince Kang, Yeongchin, and Tae. Only the heirs of King Gojong continue to be in Prince Kang's line. Kang's second son Yu was the tragic prince who perished in Hiroshima. After colonization, the royal family of Joseon frequently visited Japan. Surprisingly, Japan did a good job of treating the royal family. It is because Japan needed to demonstrate that each colonization of another country was being managed successfully by the best Japan in the world. Japan has to demonstrate at the time that Asia could potentially develop into an imperialist continent. Specifically, treating Joseon favorably is meant to demonstrate Japan's imperialist justification. The royal family was well treated by Japan and given access to its aristocratic class. In order to cooperate Joseon people and Japanese soul together, Japan also permitted Joseon and Japanese royal families to wed. Prince Yeongchin and his wife Masako are a prime example of it, aka Ibangja. Although he was Korean, Prince Yeongchin supported Japan. It is a well-known legend that Prince Yeongchin wept over the assassination of Hirohima by Korean independence activist An Jung-gun. But to be honest, Prince Yeongchin and the majority of the royal families had cordial relations with Japan. However, one of the royal families had members who weren't friendly to Japan and didn't wed Japanese people. Prince Yu was his name. When he was too young, Prince Yu traveled to Japan to study. In 1922, he was only 10 years old. Many royal families were forced to travel to Japan at the time in order to be monitored by Japan. Prince Yu was vehemently opposed to marrying Japanese. He persisted in his decision to wed a Korean who shared his ethnicity. Finally, he wed Park Janju, a descendant of the typical pro-Japan guru Park Young-hyo. Japanese and Koreans were both surprised by his marriage. He married Chinilpa, the granddaughter of a pro-Japan faction, which shocked the Korean. The fact that he married a Korean, not a Japanese, shocked the Japanese. Nevertheless, despite the politics, it is said that Prince Yu truly loved her. Since their marriage is a love marriage, there are actually a lot of educated guesses. This is due to the fact that the two are frequently spot dating in Japan. The love between the two appears to have transcended merely political objectives, especially given the historical context of the period where love marriage was uncommon. After completing his training at the Imperial Japanese Army Academy, Prince Yu joined the Japanese military. Most royal families at the time should have completed their education at the Imperial Japanese Army Academy. Prince Yu reportedly felt humiliated to be a Korean wearing a Japanese army uniform. For Korea's independence, he continued to pursue his goals while regularly speaking Korean. Given that he spent his entire life in Japan and that Korea is no longer a part of the world, Prince Yu's desire for Korean independence is understandable. However, Prince Yu started his new post in Hiroshima in July 1945. Numerous testimonies indicated that Prince Yu did not want to visit Japan. Prince Yu actually had to travel to Japan despite postponing it for months and claiming he was ill. And the US dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. Yu was situated 700 meters from the atomic bomb at the precise moment. From head to chest, Yu's skin was severely burned, and the rest of his body also had damaged skin. Yu eventually experienced pain and passed away at 5 the following morning. So what does the idea of Korean loyalty look like to Koreans? The reputation of King Gojong was different depending on the people. The Korean royal family lacked resources and understanding of the rapidly shifting global environment at the time. To be honest, it is difficult to claim that Gojong was the worst king in Korean history. However, he was the king of ruin, but he couldn't protect the nation from harm. Following that, Japan invaded Korea in 1910, beginning a 36-year colonial occupation. However, Korea could gain independence after Japan was defeated in World War II. Korea opted for a republican government, not a monarchy. Instead of the king, the populace took control of the nation. The king oversaw colonization, so he was unable to repress the independence movement while the country was still a colony. Additionally, the majority of the royal family supported Japan or remained silent regarding colonialism. Only Prince Yu and Prince Kang reacted negatively toward Japan. Even so, neither Prince Yu nor Prince Kang assumed the initiative in the movement for independence. The common people, not the king or the nobility, were responsible for Korea's independence. The Mincho had to fight for 36 years with their lives even though they received nothing from the nation. In this situation, it is only natural for the Korean people to reject the king and opt for a republic. Both King Gojong's descendants and the Joseon royal family were gradually lost to Koreans' collective memory at the same time. Lee Seung-man, the first president of South Korea, was afraid that if he acknowledged the lawyers, his authority would be challenged. They were worried that the dynasty would undergo a retrogression and return to being a monarchy. As a result, he declared the Lord family to be the villain of the loss of the country and seized and nationalized the Joseon dynasty property. Additionally, prominent Lord figures like Prince Kang and King Yeongchin were prohibited from entering Korea. It took until the Park Chung-hee administration decade later for them to barely be allowed into Korea. In fact, it should be noted that King Gojong's descendants have essentially lost their generation. The so-called male line of descent has already been broken, and King Uchin is the source of all of King Gojong's surviving descendants. In actuality, because King Uchin had 22 children, all descendants are descended from him. The few remaining descendants of King Gojong only act as the descendants of King Gojong during the Joseon royal tomb ritual, which is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In other words, the royal family of Joseon has passed away. Even the few surviving royal offspring of King Gojong are in poor health. However, pro-Japanese organizations that sold Joseon to Japan are still very wealthy even today. This is due to the fact that the pro-Japanese organization in Korea has not ever been destroyed. The pro-Japanese group has been completely eliminated in North Korea, though it was actually possible because North Korea destroyed all forces besides Kim Il-sung himself. The Lord family descended in poverty compared to the pro-Japanese group descendants. Such an ironic circumstance. So thank you for watching this video, and please don't forget to click the subscribe and the like button.